Stay tuned to find out how to do this lovely robin in watercolour. Okay, it's cute robin time. It's Christmas card designs. Yes, it may seem early to all of you. To me, it is very late. I am late again doing the designs for Christmas cards. I've got a cute robin. I've drawn out the robin. I'll pop the photos up for you. I thought I may as well, as I'm doing them, video them, because I think you can learn something from everything that I'm doing. I'm going to come on with lots of water. I am going to avoid the robin's eyes and the robin's beak, but I'm going to get water. I'm going to avoid the bottom bit of the snow. Water all over the robin and all over the background. I want to keep the bottom bit of the snow a bit lighter. There isn't snow on the photograph. I've made up the snow. Tends to be a robin is one of my best selling Christmas cards. I sold out of last year's. Here's fingers crossed that this year's sells out as well. Okay, I've got a variety of colours. I'll talk you through them as I go. So this is cobalt turquoise. Expensive colour, artist quality only. I like the Winsor & Newton one. I've not had a new tube of this for a while. So this is its first squirt out. It's a beautiful colour. Used to be one of my favourites. Then I went off it a bit and now it's coming back. My thinking is this is going to go great against the orange of the robin. You can see that it's nice and wet. I like to come into the colour neat really. It just keeps its vibrancy. I am coming around the robin. And I'm coming around the snow, though I don't mind if it starts to drift a little bit onto the snow. I mean, I've wet down to here, but it won't drift too much. Right, then I have got, whatever this is, Maya Blue Genuine. Well, if I get the right one, then that's a green. Green's coming in a minute. I've squirted these out. These are Daniel Smith colours. I really like them. I very rarely get a chance to use them. You can substitute with something else if you're having a go at a Christmassy robin. So this is giving us a little bit of a darker blue in here. I just like the granulation in these Daniel Smith's ones. I took a long time to convert and I'm still a huge Winsor & Newton fan and always will be, because that's what I've used a lot of the time in my watercolour journey, but little bits of other things do creep in and I am very keen on the granulation of Daniel Smith. So this one I'm just basically bringing through a little bit so it's got a variety of tone. Just making sure I've got no real bobbly bits that have stuck on the paper, though I don't mind an odd one. Then the next colour I have got is Amethyst Genuine. Again, another Daniel Smith one. I'm going cool colours for this card. So I'm going to keep this towards the top. I've sort of got a vision in my head. It tends to be quite loose and evolves, which is fine. I'm watching all the time. I can see it blend in. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to swap down to a number 6, and this one is Jade Genuine. So I'm thinking a few little bits. Grasses. Sometimes I do holly, but I did one last year that had holly on that's coming this year. So I don't want 2 with holly on. So I'm just thinking a few grasses here. Blending into the snow. Take a little bit higher here. Then I've got some good old table salt. I want a snowy effect, so I'm just going to sprinkle some of this on in the background. Avoid the robin because I'm still coming into the robin in a second. I'm going to start getting my fluffiness in. This is just giving me a little bit of a snowy background. It's just a light sprinkle. Don't go mad. You can use all different types of salt. You can use rock salt to get some really nice effects as well. So what I like about the Daniel Smith one, it's splitting out. It looks lovely. Okay, so I'm going to come on to the robin now. I'm going straight on to the orange bit. Transparent orange, Winsor & Newton transparent orange. So this is coming in first. This is around number 6 now. Just going to sit down so I'm a bit closer. Coming around the eye. Around the beak. You'll notice that I've not gone quite as far as the edge. I'm letting it do its thing to go to the edge. This is quick to explode out, and I quite like a fluffy robin, but I don't want it to be too fluffy, so I'm just going to watch it as I'm doing. Now, because it's a Christmas card, I'm going to take a little bit more red in. Because the red does tend to work quite nicely. This is Windsor red. Just going to let it flow. Just watching. Can neaten up round the eye. Still really, really damp. So I just don't want it to go too far. This is just a damp brush. I'm just stopping that going any further there. Okay, so I've got a tiny bit of that blue left, and I'm going to take a little bit of sepia into it. So I use a student quality sepia because I like the transparency of it, a Cotman sepia. So this is going to give me that light grey colour. I'm just going to start to bring that in. I dab a little bit off on the kitchen towel if you don't want it to go too far. So this bit down here is all very wishy-washy, so I don't want that to be too strong. Not bothered about legs and beaks yet. This is just getting the fluffiness of the body in. So I've dried my brush off, rinsed it off, dried it off, and I'm going to come into neat sepia now. So neat sepia. I'm going to start to get those darker browner areas. I've got the tail. I've got this wing. A bit more up on the head. Just dot in little bits here and there, you'll get a really nice fluffiness. Can you see how that's still spreading really nicely? This is exactly what we want. A lovely fluffy robin. And then here I've got some Payne's Grey. So I'm going straight into the Payne's Grey. Payne's Grey needs to come on at the very end. It's a bit shooty. It's good for adding some little bits of dark. Did you notice I didn't rinse my brush out? I've just gone straight in with it. So I'm getting those nice little bits of dark. Have a little bit there. Got a few little bits here. Just going to come onto the tops of the legs now, so you get a little bit of fluffiness happening in that top area. Then if I dab my brush off quite a lot, dab, 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 take most of the paint off it, I'm going to come in and just create a few little shadows within the red. Not too much, just a few little bits. Subtle shadow. The salt's starting to work. So I've got a clean, dry brush. It's going too far here. I'm just going to pop the brush and push back. So I'm just stopping that colour going any further. Pushing it back. It's got to be clean, it's got to be nearly dry. That's just enough to stop that going any further. I like the fluffiness that side. I'm liking the movement that it's got there. I might actually take a little bit of the sepia just in at the bottom here. This is nearly dry down here, so I'm not taking any extra water on the brush, just flicking a little bit of the sepia through. And I'm going to pick up a rigger. And a little bit of the purple. Just bring through a little bit. It's really nice to work into these additional grasses when they're starting to dry, because it just gives an extra effect. And even if you're just pulling with a damp brush through, you get some hard bits, some soft bits, and it just tends to work. Take a little bit of the cobalt turquoise. So cobalt turquoise is opaque, so you end up with a beautiful effect. That coming through. Okay, so I'm going to dry this one off now. Okay, so that's nicely dry and I've rubbed the salt off. I've got a nice sort of snowy effect happening. I need to pop a little bit of soft shadow into this snow area now. So I've already got some nice bleed in there from the colours above, so that's going to work quite nicely. I've just changed my water so it's nice and clean. I'm just going to come on with a little bit of the cobalt turquoise. I want to keep this nice and fresh really. So I don't want too much in here. Pop some where the robin's feet are going to be. A little bit. So keep it really, really quite light. That. Okay. Now's the serious bit, the beak and the eyes. So we'll have to get my glasses on. You can always tell it's serious when I put my glasses on. And you can always tell it's serious when I pick up a number 2 as well. So I'm going to wet the eye, but leave a tiny highlight. And then I'm going to start with some sepia. So I'm using my round number 6 to start with. I always choose the biggest brush that I can get away with at that point. And then I'm going to go down to the number 2 and the Payne's Grey. Bring the photograph a bit closer. And you just very carefully come in around the outside edge of the eye with the Payne's Grey. The smaller that you can make that highlight, the better it will hold together. I've got a little point up here that I want to get on the eye. It's like a teardrop, this eye. At this moment I've missed a bit of the orange, but I'm not worrying about that. Just getting a nice shape on the eye and a really nice fine highlight so that it's not too white. And then this one, I'm just going to take a little dab of the sepia on with my round number 6. This is tiny, this eye. And I'm going to come in with the Payne's Grey. And I'm going to try to leave a very fine white highlight just at the top. That same very fine white highlight. Rinse those out. If I just touch that side, that's going to start to soften that in, and that side. So this is just with a damp brush. I'm also going to touch into some of the cobalt violet. I'm just going to put a tiny bit within each of the eyes. Again, it's opaque, so you'll just get this hint of colour. If I take a tiny bit of the orange, can just come, just alter that edge, just bring that in. So I'm just still keeping that niceness of the shape of the eye. With that orange as well, I can build up a little bit more texture. So I'm looking really where the darker colours are and just dabbing a little bit on. It's like an additional layer. Don't want it to be too dry, it's still quite fluid. It's just that this is the powerful colour and I'd like it to really stand out. And then if with a damp brush you can just run a bit of wet in between, and then it's not just all solid lines. You end up with that nice subtle effect. Okay, the beak. In fact, I'll do the beak after. I'm going to do the legs first, just because I've just wet all that area, so I can't rest on anything whilst I'm doing the beak. I'll need to dry it first. So I'm going to come down, this is sepia, round number 6. As fine as you can possibly get it. Really, one leg is a lot thicker than the other leg. And then it's going to disappear into the snow. So I'm just pulling that sepia out. This is with my round number 2. You can let it disappear into the snow. I'm using the softness that I've got there before as well, so that's helping keep everything together. And you can run a little bit of Payne's grey down one side. And bring a bit more into this foot because it's a little bit darker. Got a mixture of the sepia and the Payne's grey. I'm just going to bring in a little bit of definition just on the edge of this wing. So I'm just picking out little areas really. So that I gain some harder edges. So I've got a nice hard edge there. And then I'm just going to just soften in each of those. So just at the bottom. So that's bringing that leg in. Okay, I'll dry that off and then we'll do the beak. Okay, so that's nicely dry now. I'm going to have a go at the beak. So this is mainly Payne's grey now. There's a tiny bit of sepia in the mix, but you're just going on really with Payne's grey. So I'm going to start with the darkest line. And remember, you're not trying to fit the beak. It might be that you've got a need to actually put some of the red back in. Do the correct shape beak for the bird. I don't want this to end up looking like a finch. So I'm going to do a correct shape beak for a robin, and then after I've done that, if I've got white that I need to fill in, I'll fill it in. So I'm coming along the top edge of the beak now. So this needs a little bit more precision, really. You've got to be a bit more precise with the eyes and with the beak. So this is just a damp brush now. So I'm just going to soften that in so that I've got that slightly darker top of the beak. So I've got a whole gap around there that I need to sort out in a minute. One of the classic mistakes is you try to fill that in and it ends up not looking like a robin. So just with a damp brush, I'm just going to soften in that edge there, so you're just getting that little bit of connection and shadow. Now I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to twizzle upside down now. Just want to make a little bit more definition. On the snow edge. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the amethyst. Just going to bring it in. Get my wash brush, nice and clean and soft, and just touch in. Don't need to go all the way up the page. You can touch in first if you want. This is just the beauty of cotton paper. You can do this definition and layering. And this is just giving us a nice edge to the snow, a bit more of a defined edge. And then if you just want to blend that, you can just stroke upwards. It'll subtly blend anyway. But you just want that difference of edge, just to help that snow stand out. And if I twizzle back round, you can see now that that snow is standing out more. And with my round number 10, I can just touch into that and connect those together. So I'm just pulling with a damp brush. That snow and the background is going to become one. Got a little bit of a lost and found edge there with a bit of softness. So I'll dry that off. Okay, so that's nicely dry, and in fact I've had a happy accident. This occasionally happens. These weren't quite dry enough and they've blended and they look lovely, so I'm leaving them. When a happy accident happens, you just go with it. So if I get a little bit of orange onto my round number 6, I'm just going to fill in around the beak area, the bit that wasn't quite right. And I can take it further. Take it further, that blends that I've done that. It gives a little bit more power to the face area. So I'm just coming around the eyes, just creating a little bit more oomph in that area. So it's just another layer. Okay, I'll pop a mount on. And there we go, so it's all finished. I'm really pleased with that. It's a nice loose fluffy robin that's going to be coming as a Christmas card design for the fairs that I do locally. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's something you can have a go at, and robin's always popular at Christmas. I know it's early, but it gives you plenty of time to practice. If you like my loose animals and you want to have a go at another one, I'll pop one here. Please do like, subscribe and share. I release a tutorial every week. I try to do more if I can, and I'll see you next time.